Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah Bahashim, Recha Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, and great millstone. Peace and mercy to the Tazadak Akim out there that's laboring in truth with all sincerity. I want to say Shalom. And today's topic, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, is going into Daniel's the 7th chapter. I'm going to break this, Lord willing, I could break this whole chapter down, or most of the chapter down in different parts. But today's going to be the first part. I'm just going to focus on verses 1 through 7. Okay? Just 1 through 7. There's a lot of information I want to bring out through the spirit. And I'm going to run through it. I'm not going to try to get too deep into it, but I want to hit, what I believe is good points. So this is, through the spirit, we're going to just jump right into it. So this is the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and he told the sum of the matters. So I want to focus on the Belshazzar, which was the last king of Babylon. All right, and matter of fact, I'm gonna just bring out some points. Going back into this article, godquestions.org. So I typed in who was Belshazzar. It says Belshazzar was the last king of ancient Babylon and is mentioned in Daniel's the 5th chapter. Belshazzar reigned for a short time during the life of Daniel the prophet. His name, meaning Bel, protect the king, is a prayer to a Babylonian god. So you have to understand too, Belshazzar also was Daniel's Babylonian name, which I wanted to actually do a video on that, like on the Babylonian names of the three holy children and go into the Hebrew what they mean. But Lord willing, I could do that later on. But yeah, so Belshazzar means Bel, protect the king. And it's a prayer to a Babylonian god, which we know is an idol god. It says, as his story shows, Bel was powerless to save this evil ruler. Belshazzar ruled Babylon, a powerful nation with a long history and a long line of powerful kings. One of those kings was Nebuchadnezzar, who had conquered Judah, bringing the temple treasures to Babylon along with Daniel and many other captives. Going into, when the Babylonians took over Judah, and they, ransacked Jerusalem around 570 BC. All right. I want to jump down to proving that he's his grandson as well. Belshazzar is Nebuchadnezzar's grandson. So right here. Is it this right here? Hold on. Salakia. Going into his father. Is it this one? Okay. I think it's in this article. Yep. It's in this article. So it says, all right, going into this article as well to bring out a little bit more information of Belshazzar. It says, though he's referred to in the book of Daniel as Nebuchadnezzar, as the son of Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian inscriptions indicate that he was in fact the eldest son of Nabonidus, who was the king of Babylon from 555 to 539, and of Nitocris, who was perhaps a daughter of Nebuchadnezzar, showing you that he was, Nebuchadnezzar's grandson. It says he entrusted Belshazzar with the throne and the major part of his army. So Belshazzar was a co-regent to his father, Nabonidus, all right, who went into exile around the year 550 BC, given an approximate. All right, okie doke. So going back to Daniel 7 and 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had dream and visions of his head upon his bed. And I want to bring this out because the king who took Belshazzar down was Darius the Mede, and it goes into the walls on the writing. So let's get that real quick. Daniel's 5. So I'm gonna start off at. I'm gonna start from 26. As matter of fact, 25. It says, "And this is the writing that was written, mean, tico, uphershin. This is the interpretation of the thing, meaning God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tico, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians." So this is the walls in the writing is showing you that he was gonna the Babylonians were going to fall to the Medo-Persian Empire. Verse 29, "Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. And that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old." So we know Darius the Mede took down Belshazzar. All right, and the Medo-Persian Empire began to rule because Belshazzar was the last king of Babylon. All right. So reading Daniel 7:1 again, it says, "In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters." Verse 2, "Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven shove upon the great sea." And and these four winds represents the four kingdoms that's going to rule. And we could jump down to verse 17 to prove that real quick. It says, "These great beasts," this is Daniel 7:17, "these great beasts which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth." So these are the four winds represents, all right, these different kingdoms that are going to rule. So verse 3, "And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another." All right, and Daniel's actually seeing, actual vision of how the beasts are looking as well. But they, now we know they represent kingdoms. All right, so we're going to go into it. So this is Daniel 7:4. "The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings." All right, and this first that was like a lion and had eagle's wings represented the Assyrian Empire. And we could, show a little artifact of the Assyrian griffin, proving that the lion, the first beast that was like a lion and had eagle's wings, was the Assyrian Empire. You could obviously see, the Assyrian griffin is matching up with that. Okay. Let me see. Got any? Look, good. That's a good one. So going back to Daniel 7, verse 4, it says, "The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it." So till the wings thereof were plucked, meaning that they were overtaken by the Babylonian Empire, because that was the next empire that was going to rule after the Assyrians. All right. So it says, "And it was lifted up from earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it." And that man is talking about Nebuchadnezzar. All right. Which is one of Babylon's greatest kings. Okay. And it says, "And a man's heart was given to it," meaning a man's wisdom, much wisdom was given unto King Nebuchadnezzar. All right. Which was the king of Babylon. Verse 5, "And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side." All right, so this second beast, like to a bear, is representing the Medial Empire. And it says, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in it, in the Salaki, and had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. So let me read it again. So it's talking about the Medo-Persian Empire, Salakia. So when it says, the scriptures say it raised up itself on one side, that's because the Persian Empire was much stronger than the Medial Empire. Okay? So it says, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it. So those 3 ribs in the mouth of it represents the kingdoms that, you know, the Medo-Persian Empire was conquered. Which, when you go into it, it's the Babylonians, the Egyptians, and I believe there was the Babylonians, Egyptians, and I think the Lydia. I believe it was Lydia. Let me just fact check that real quick. Syrian. Hold on, Salakia. I believe. Hold up. Nah, Persians. Real quick. Let me see. I do believe it was Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. Yep, I believe so. Yep. Conquest of Lydia, Egypt. Yep. Okay. So going back to Daniel 7:4, it says, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth. So it says, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and as a heart was given to it. Going to verse 5. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and had 3 ribs in it, in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. So this is talking about the Medo-Persians. The 3 ribs represents Babylon, Egypt, and Lydia. And it says, arise, devour much flesh, because the Medo-Persian Empire was a very strong empire, you know, at that particular time. You know, it was a very strong and powerful empire, army. So going verse 6, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. So the leopard represents the Greek Empire. Okay? Which Alexander the Great, you know, was the general of the Greek Empire when they took down the Persians, the Medo-Persian Empire. And that's exactly what I wanted to get into. You know, going in, Alexander the Great, he ruled for 12 years. And we could get that in the First Maccabees real quick. All right. All right. I'll start from verse 1. This is First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, which the land of Chittim right now is located in Cyprus, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. You know, so Alexander the Great, you know, he took over. He conquered very swiftly. you know, very fast. You know, he conquered these many different lands and obtained rulership of different lands. All right. And when you go into the history of Alexander the Great, he was actually angry that he couldn't conquer anymore. When you go into the history. So it says, verse 2, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he yet was alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule everyone in his place. So, going into his, the four generals who, took on after him. We can get that back in Daniel 7. So Alexander the Great, he ruled, he conquered the known world in 12 years and he died. So we can read it again. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. So Alexander the Great in the as well as with the Greek Empire took over the Persians, which was a major accomplishment. Like I said before, the Persians were a vast, strong military empire. So, real quick, I just wanted to bring out the battles that they fought. It was four major battles. All right, for them to overtake the Medo-Persian Empire. So I'm gonna just get a few. In the history they say Alexander did this in 13 years, but we're gonna stick to the scriptures. 12 years. So, matter of fact, we can read it. It says, during only 13 years of Alexander's legendary Persian campaign, one empire would fall, replaced by another, one of the largest empires of all time, stretching from modern-day Italy and Greece to the Himalayas, while Alexander's empire collapsed soon after the untimely death of the 32-years-old ruler. The Hellenistic world, Alexander's greatest legacy remained. So, because after Alexander the Great, or the freak, the world became to become Hellenized, and this is the start. The Greek Empire is the start of Esau's rulership as ruling. It began with them being the Greeks. And from there on, the world was Hellenized through the Greek Empire under the 4 generals. We're gonna get into one of those generals. When you go into those generals, Daniel's the 8th chapter, that little horn being Antiochus Epiphanes the 4th, and then he comes under the Seleucus Empire, which when you go all the way back into the 4 wings, going back into those 4 generals, all right, which those 4 generals are Cassander, Lacenaeus, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. All right, we're going to get that, after I bring this out. So, all right, so the battle, it says, so these are the 4 battles, Alexander and the Greeks fought against the Persian Empire. So you have the Battle of Granicus, which is around 334 BC. Alexander's the Great Persian's Gamble. So, we're going to just read a little bit of it and then, just keep going. We ain't going to be long. So it says, the Battle of Granicus was the first major battle of the Persian campaign and the one in which Alexander the Great came closest to defeat and death. So we're going, We're going to just make that as a point. Keep going. So, as it says, this was the first major battle between the Persians and the Greeks, which Alexander, which was a meaningful victory for Alexander because he almost lost. All right, so we're gonna go down, jump down. So we have battle 2, the Battle of Issus, 333 BC.